This is about a 50-minute or 1 hour odd session wherein we would be, looking at teaching pedagogy, and we'll look at the significance, approaches, and methodologies for teaching pedagogy. And by this session, what I would like to bring to you all is how we can share some information or some knowledge. All of the members who are here are all teachers. Many of you are doctors. So you are experts in your field. So what is required here is just some sharing of inputs, some knowledge sharing, so that we can actually do our job better. I would request all the participants to, be active and participate in the session. I would take some feedback at occasions, and I would like your inputs so that when you share your thoughts, we can make this session a little bit interactive. So we are going to look at the overview. What is teaching pedagogy? What is its significance? What are the approaches and methodologies? So, yes, thank you, ma'am. The objectives for this session, I usually follow a method of teaching wherein which is called WIN. So first we'll try to know what is it that we are talking about, which I discussed in the earlier slide. And in this slide, what is this session all about? So we'll be when you complete this session, of about 45-50 minutes odd, whoever is doing this session, they will be able to describe various terms and concepts of teaching pedagogy and its significance. You will be able to discuss on learning styles and teaching strategies. You will also be able to practice some of the approaches of teaching pedagogy, and you will be able to elaborate on teaching learning methodologies. This is gist of what this session is all about and what way this session is going to go forward. You need to also understand that when I say practice some approaches, because the more time you spend, the more you practice, the more perfect you will become. You can try out new things, but definitely you will be able to start and get a different approach to your regular routine teaching sessions in the class. We'll try to make these sessions as interesting as possible for the learners. Can we move on, ma'am? Yeah. So as I said, I would like this session to be a little interactive. So my first question is there on this slide. What exactly do you understand by this slide? What is pedagogy? And there are three pictures. So I want you to think on this and put out your thoughts. Whatever it is, you can put it in the chat box. I'm waiting for some responses. Yes. Any of the participants, please, you can see three pictures here. So what exactly do you understand by these pictures? And maybe there's a question also for you. What is pedagogy? If you want to try and answer that, you can put your answers in the chat box. Yeah, Bhagyashri, very nice. Curiosity to be created like a child. Quite interesting. Anyone else? I want some more responses. I'm happy to note that there are about 40 participants in the session, but I got so far only one response. Yes, sharing of knowledge, Kanchan. Uh, Jacinta, curiosity which is abstract made. Everything is around science. Okay. Yeah, all of you have looked at it in a very interesting way. Yeah, okay. I think I shall move on. In this, simplify the complicated things. Excellent. Um, yes, you all are correct. This picture is actually, self explanatory, because the question is, what is pedagogy? And the answer is, pedagogy means the art and science of teaching a child. So the three pictures here are indicative of that. The child, the third picture says science, the second picture is a artistic picture, so which stands for art. So ideally the definition of pedagogy would be the art and science of teaching a child. However, we need to understand that we are not in the profession of teaching child or children. We would be teaching adults, which is known as andragogy. But the term pedagogy is synonymous. In many cases, adult learning, we say the different pedagogy of teaching. So that is what we will be focusing on. We will look at the art and science of teaching, not child, but adults. Now you can see there is another interesting line or sentence at the bottom of the slide. There is a company called the Tutoring Standards Company, which determines that a tutor must elicit response that demonstrates understanding. In other words, if you are conducting a session, irrespective of how nicely you have conducted, what quality of content and what you have shared, unless at the end of the session your audience can respond to you in a fashion that you know demonstrates that they have understood what you are trying to convey, teaching remains incomplete. So how you can elicit response, there are methods, but let us be very clear on this, that a tutor or a teacher or a trainer or a learning facilitator, that is the term which I prefer to call a teacher, because teacher and all is an outdated concept. Currently we focus on the learner. So the learning facilitator, that's what we all are. We facilitate or we support learning in classrooms. So a learning facilitator must elicit response that demonstrates understanding of the subject. Ma'am, next slide. Yeah. So as I had already said, pedagogy thus translates into the art and science of teaching children. Art, you need to put the theories, of and into practice. That is an artistic process. You have to build up on your teaching experience. I mean, you have to bring your experiences into the classroom and grow along with that. So that is again artistic job. What is the science involved in it? Your knowledge of various theories of learning, various instructional strategies, your command over the, training or learning tools that is available for you. So all these, your control of the externals can make the science part of it, equipments and other things. So what is a pedagogy for teaching? The term pedagogy refers to the strategy of how educators teach. What is the strategy you have developed in terms of practice or theory, and how it is being presented in the classroom? So this, what actually is this all concerned about? Pedagogy is shaped by the teaching beliefs, the beliefs or your experiences of as a teacher, and it interprets. between culture and a variety of methods of teaching. For example, if you find a classroom in the Asian country, there is always a lot of practices which we follow here. When the teacher comes in, everybody stands up, you wish the teacher, you show a lot of respect. We have it in our culture that we don't argue with teachers, and so on. As we move to the west, the Europe or American culture is totally different. You would find students, they are quite comfortable walking out of a class without taking permission of the teacher, which would be a sort of sacrilege in the Asian countries. So these kind of cultural beliefs also have a major role to play in the development of the strategy of teaching. So it is good that we understand all of this and plan and take the teaching process very seriously in a constructive manner. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah. Again, I have a question for all of you. Interestingly, you see the picture. The word teach reflects as the word learn. So teaching is incomplete without learning. So if whether it is for a person or whether it is for a trainer or a student, so teaching has to be accompanied by learning. If there is a teacher who thinks that he has learnt enough, now he can only teach, then that is the end of the teaching. Now the question for you is, do you remember any teacher from your past who has inspired you? If yes, please put his or her name in the chat along with what is it that inspired you about that person. So you can please, uh, again put up your responses in the chat box. Any teacher from your days, college days, it is irrelevant, from your past. Okay. The way she clear all the doubts. Your teacher, Dr. Yagana Narayan. Okay. What was the speciality of that person? I'm waiting for a few more responses. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I want just somebody to mention what is it that inspired about the teacher. You have given the names of the teacher, but I want what is it that inspired. Somebody has mentioned teaching aids and explanations, a dressing sense. Excellent. That is interesting. Yeah. Creativity, methods of teaching, enthusiasm. Excellent. Excellent. I am getting a lot of interesting responses now. Somebody mentions Dr. KG Bhattacharya, who was a mentor to me. Mentoring ability. Okay. She learned clearly before teaching. Excellent. Fairness, motivational speech, connecting with students. Excellent. So there are so many reasons. Um, but ideally, uh, I am very happy to see so many of these reasons because they are all part and parcel. Yeah, subject knowledge, definitely. See, ideally, even if you don't have any teaching tool, you don't have different methods of teaching, you don't have a great delivery, but If you are a teacher who is really passionate, if you have passion about the subject and you bring your passion into the classroom, it will reflect on to the learners. Yeah, Jasmine, that is an excellent answer. Touching the hearts of learner by inspiring. That is only possible if you carry the passion of your subject, of your thoughts. You must be a firm believer in what you say. Can we move to the next slide, ma'am? Yeah. Please, I want all of you to read this slide. It's a self explanatory slide, no explanation needed. There are different types of teachers. So, the average teacher would tell about the subject, the good one explains it, a superior teacher demonstrates, but the best one inspires. So, this is what we will try to do is we will try to become an inspirational teacher. Now, I have again some question. You can see on the right side of the slide, there is a famous personality, Bruce Lee. A teacher is never a giver of truth. He's a guide, a pointer to the truth that each student must find for himself. What does this statement mean? Again, you can take to the chat box and put your thoughts here. What does the explanation mean? A teacher is never a giver of the truth. Why not? You can please put your thoughts again on the chat box. Self learning. Okay. Anyone else? What exactly does the allows or provide platform for thinking? Yeah, that is make the students think. Excellent. Excellent. Anyone else? Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. Well, Swami Vivekananda, I will never, um, take a stance against what he says. Has much more meaning than what I can understand in my lifetime to develop creativity. Okay, fine, fair enough. A lot of points have come up, but uh, the simplest reason is each person comes to a class with a different objective. What they want to learn, what they want to achieve is different. And hence, the truth will be different for each person. Somebody who comes to the class with an idea that I need to pass the subject, and because I need to pass and I have something waiting for me, that certificate is important. His approach will be different, his truth is different. Somebody who comes to the class to excel in the subject, irrespective of the outcome, he has no interest in passing or failing, but he wants to understand. His truth is different. Somebody who is looking for a job, his truth is different. Somebody who is competing with his friends, his truth is different. So the teacher can only point in the right direction. The student will discover or find the actual truth for himself. I hope the explanation is clear. Now, what is the need for pedagogy? The need for pedagogy is as simple as it is mentioned here: improved quality of learning. students are more receptive, improved participation, there will be more interaction. The knowledge is imparted effectively across a wide spectrum of learners, means students who are coming from different backgrounds and different culture. You can approach and address them collectively, and still manage to transfer knowledge to each one of them in a different way. Um, Development of higher level cognitive skills in the learners. So these are all some of the basic importance of pedagogy in teaching. Next. Yeah, as I already mentioned, the classrooms shall be more participative. Students will feel free to discuss and share their views and thoughts. Once this happens, automatically the learning outcomes are improved, because more you participate. Participative learning is active learning. Active learning, the level of retention and understanding is much higher. Enhanced learner engagement, yes, all the learners are engaged, they are focused on the subject, they are discussing, they are participating, so yes, they are actually paying attention. Knowledge creation. uh, I'll have a question on that, so I'll just hold that. As a teacher, you will get more satisfaction when you find that the class is engaged better. So now, can anyone tell me, how do you create knowledge? You can put it in the chat box if you want. What is your concept of knowledge creation? Anything that comes to your mind, please put it there. Yes, friends, what exactly you understood by knowledge creation, you can just share your thoughts on the chat box. Stimulating curiosity. Stimulating curiosity will not be creating knowledge. Helps to unlearn and relearn, maybe, yes. Use of intuition power. Okay. Uh, Learning by doing, yeah. New connect. Somewhat close. When students make new connections between concepts, yes. Okay. See, what exactly I mean by knowledge creation is creating of new knowledge. There might be times when you have a sort of a, let's take a example. There is a solution for a problem. There is maybe three known methods that you have got and you are doing it. So you have discussed this in the class. A student comes up with a unique method to solve the problem and comes with the same answer, one of the method which is not known to you. That is knowledge creation. It is coming up with a new solution which you have not aware of, or which you have not thought of. So that is knowledge creation. This can happen with any topic, any subject, especially in case studies. When you ask the students to come up with their opinions, they can come up with solutions which have not yet been thought of before. So that is where we focus on knowledge creation, which is also one of the higher level thinking skills of Bloom's taxonomy. I think I will be discussing that in the coming slides. Please, next slide. Yeah. A thoughtfully developed pedagogy improves the quality of learning, makes the student more receptive in the classroom. This improves his attention level and participation in the teaching learning process. The right pedagogy helps impart education to students with different learning abilities or disabilities also. students develop a deeper understanding of the subject, and this ensures that as a teacher you are able to achieve the learning outcomes of a session, of a program, of a course. In today's world, we are looking at outcome based education. So we define, if you had seen in the second slide of my presentation, I had listed the objectives of this session. So like this, you need to, highlight the objectives of each and every class that you are taking. So at the end of the class, what is it that you expect the student to achieve? This is the outcome of the class. So if the student, yes, if the
So you
student,
can continue.
hello,
So you can continue, sir.
yeah, yeah, okay. So if the student has been able to achieve the outcome, your entire effort of transferring knowledge is successful. So you have achieved your outcome. But if the student does not respond in the right fashion, then there is something wrong in the process. So we need to evaluate. Can we move on, ma'am? Yeah. A correct pedagogical approach is required for students with special needs, disabilities, or coming from disadvantaged groups. Communication levels are low, females or minorities, some tribal backgrounds where they don't find themselves fitting into the mainstream. So you need to encourage them to be part of the mainstream learning community. So if your pedagogy is well developed and it is suitable, it will make students develop higher order cognitive skills like analyzing, synthesizing, evaluation. On the other hand, if your pedagogy is not strong, the focus would be on memorizing, remembering, and understanding and application, which are the lower order skills as per Bloom's taxonomy. I said I will be discussing this in the coming slides. So you need to understand that after this pedagogy, assessing the performance appropriately is also a very important part of the learning experience. Effectively, if you grade papers, being fair to all the students, that is very important and crucial responsibility of a teacher. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah. So I am sure all of you have heard of Bloom's taxonomy. So the bottom three or the lower two, remembering and understanding, these are the lower order skills. The application and analytical skills are the middle order skills, and the top orders are to evaluate and create. When you create new knowledge or when you create a new problem, new solution, whatever, that is the level where we want to take the students. The more you work on developing the higher order thinking skills, the more engaged and more attracted the students will be in the session. The more we focus on the lower order skills, if the student is smart, they will just simply, lose interest in the session. So you have to understand, and based on this triangle, try to design your pedagogy where you take students from lower order skills to middle order to the higher order thinking skills. Next slide. Now let us look at what are the factors that affect pedagogy. There are numerous factors which play an impact on this. The most important one is the learning style of the student. What exactly is the learning style of a student? Anyone? You want, you can put your thought on the chat box. What do you understand by learning style? Yes, yes, that is excellent. Work. For a second, I was confused. But yes, it's a nice abbreviation. So yes, you're right. The learning style of a student can be visual, can be auditory, can be read write, and can be kinesthetic. So yes, if you know the style of learning of your student, you can develop the pedagogy better. Competence of the instructor, how comfortable you are with different tools, how comfortable you are with the subject, how confident you are, and how knowledgeable you are can help you to select different types of pedagogy. The available resources, yes, that is also a very important factor. Whether you teach with an overhead projector, whether it is a, PowerPoint, whether it is a smart board where you have access to videos and other gadgets. Now, educational systems. This has a lot of importance because the educational system or the structure in which you are training the or taking the class, the syllabus and the amount of content that is given to you and the amount of time that is given to you, all these will affect the pedagogy. And lastly, the field of study. If it is a practical field, the pedagogy is different. If it is more of a conceptual or a theoretical field, the chosen pedagogy may be different. So these are some of the factors which affect the pedagogy. As a trainer or as a learning facilitator, it is the responsibility of each teacher to be able to select the right kind of pedagogy so that the ultimate target of knowledge transfer is best achieved. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah. So first, know the different types of learners. Somebody, Pooja Nair, no, she had mentioned WARK. So that is the full form of WARK, WARK, learner types. I have given a link. You can please note down that link. This link has got a very simple self-styled quiz to decide what kind of a learner you yourself are. You can also ask your students to, do this test and learn down. So you all can take down this link. I'm giving you a minute. Please note it down. If you want, take a picture of it. Yes, Preeti, you can unmute and speak if you want. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah. So this is again one more explanation of your learning styles. Uh, so there is a visual learner, there is a person who learns using pictures, images, spatial understanding. So they look at spatial things. Musical or auditory, they prefer to hear sounds and music. Verbal, again, similar to musical, but verbal means using words in read and write. A physical or a kinesthetic learner who is more interested in learning by doing, practicing. These people prefer to be very active. They are very difficult to be kept seated in one place doing nothing. Then there is the logical or mathematical learner. They prefer to use logic, reasoning in all the learning process. Next is the social learner who prefer to learn in groups, with other people discussing and talking. And the solitary learner who works alone using self-study. So please find out what is your learning style, what is the learning style of your students, and then develop the teaching pedagogy accordingly. Next. Okay. So I am not going to go into these learning theories in a great depth. I have just shared this slide so that this is one of the factors that affects the pedagogy: behaviorism, cognitivism, humanism, and constructivism. You can see humanism has got experiential learning most suitable for kinesthetic learners. Rest, depending on the topic, the subject, you need to be selective. Can we move on, ma'am? Yeah. Again, this is for the understanding of the learners. I have given here some of the key concepts, the key theory, and the role of the teacher. And I have also mentioned who are the people who have presented these particular theories. So, if you can see behaviorism, Mr. Ivan Pavlov and John Watson and Bernard Skinner has put this forward. Likewise, constructivism is put forward by Leg Vygotsky, John Piaget, Jerome Bonner. Cognitivism is put forward by Jerome Brunner, Albert Bandura. Connectivism theory is put forward by George Siemens and Stephen Downes. And more information about andragogy is available by Malcolm Knowles. So, what is the key concept? You can see there. Behaviorism means response to stimuli or observable behavior. Constructivism, where the learning is an active process. Knowledge is constructed on existing knowledge and experience. You build on it. The cognitivism focus on how learning is working in the mind of the internationalization of the content. Internally, what you realize about the content, and then the mind. Connectivism is focus on the social and technological sharing and constructing knowledge. So you can see what is the key theory in behaviorism. It is conditioning. In constructivism, it is zone of proximal development, scaffolding. In cognitivism, it is working and long-term memory, cognitive load theory. In connectivism, it gets online. Learners are involved, create engaged online learning communities. So these kind of stuff. As a teacher, what would be your role if which theory you are adopting? It is also mentioned there. Yeah. So these are also, you can say, different approaches to pedagogy. You can have a constructivist approach where you build on it, a collaborative approach where there are people who are joining together, collaborating, and finding. There's an inquiry based concept where a question is being searched and solutions being sought for. Integrative, it can be an integrative system of any of the above. Reflective, where you reflect, you think about the problem and you come up with solutions. Next. Again, all these approaches I have discussed in a little bit of detail. So I am just quickly reading it off. Constructive approach, student centered, it is built on past knowledge and it's more of learning by doing, but it may be slow paced. Reflective, it is a continuous assessment of the practices. It's a model approach for trainee teachers. It is outcome based, involves timely reassessment. Collaborative, teamwork, different abilities of learners are clubbed together. Teachers and students may not work in teams. It depends. Enables the use of different teaching practices with different groups. Integrative, integrates the classroom with the outside world. It could be with other mechanisms also. Makes the curriculum more realistic, relatable. Encourages the application of acquired knowledge. Yes, you have scope to practice. Kindles interest in mathematics, science specifically. The inquiry based approach is student centered, excites the curiosity of the learners, enhances problem solving skills. And there are four types: confirmation, structure, guided, open, whichever one like, where you have a multiple solutions and you want to confirm which is the one, or they need to come up with the right structure, or you can go about it in a guided form, taking from one step to another, or an open one where at the end of it you discuss, and usually case studies which are open ended can be used in this approach. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah, these are some of the articles or books which you can refer for further learning. Please make a note of this. They are excellent resources which are dealing with this subject at hand. And if you keep reading, or you can also search other articles on the same, but this would be useful. You can please make a note of it. Next. Yeah. So, what are the strategies of collaborative learning? It can be to catch up on something, it can be a general fishbowl debate, throw a topic and let the people debate. It can be a case study, team based learning, divide into teams, think, pair, share, where, as the concept indicates, think, let them think in pairs and share. Next. Yeah. Please have a look at this slide very carefully. The triangle which is there, our challenge is to be in the lower part of the triangle, but mostly, we get stuck in the top part of the triangle. And you can see which part of the triangle is more active for which kind of learners. If you are giving a lecture, it's very passive and only 5% retention. Reading, 10%. Audio-visual, it doubles, 20%. When you do a demonstration, there is a 30% retention, because all these are trainer centered. You are the one who is doing. Whereas the moment we move into the learner centered activity, 50% is given to discussion. This is called active learning process. When the student practices doing something, retention is 70%. And lastly, if you have a student lead the session, 90% of the concept is clear with the student. So we all need to understand, we have to move off from the passive learning process into the active learning process to better achieve our teaching outcomes. Next. Yeah. So earlier days, the pedagogical skills that were required for a teacher would be communication, adaptability, collaboration, inclusivity, and compassion. But as a modern teacher, you need few more skills. You need to be a technology enthusiast. You need to be innovative, have new thoughts, new problems, new solutions. You need to have a lot of commitment, because you know the current day students are very challenging to engage. There's a lot more preparation you need to take into the classroom. You need to be well organized. You need to be very tolerant, because a lot of unexpected things will happen. You need to have a habit of storytelling. You have to be good at creating stories and making up some things to catch the attention. Be open for questions, sometimes difficult ones also. You need to be social, and you need to be geek means you need to have that kind of SMS lingo and other things. You need to be gadget friendly and all that stuff. Otherwise, you may not match up with the current generation in the classroom. Next. Yeah. How to improve your skills? Review the evaluations, discuss with your colleagues. You are already doing the third one, attending professional programs and conferences. Keep up with studies in pedagogy. I have given you some links so you can try those. You can always approach your college or institution for additional training. Keep updated with new technology and gadgets. Keep, if any new gadget comes, don't say that's not for me. Jump at it and try it and be a master of these technology and gadgets that will help you in your sessions. Next. Yeah. How to use your skills. You need to be a proactive communicator. Don't wait for others to communicate, then you would reply. Rather than that, you be the initiator. Try out different teaching styles. Based on the different learning styles, try out. Have a discussion someday, have a activity in the classroom, have a presentation, have a game, do something different, get more colors, get more, sometimes step out of the classroom, do things differently. Let the students design an assignment. Ask them sometimes to, um, decide what should be the assignment for the class, and let the other students do the assignment in a real time fashion. Make your classroom more inclusive. Be open. Give students a lot of space to express themselves so that they are confident. They are, not lurking behind, waiting for discussing or clarifying their doubts. Identify the different learning traits and facilitate learning. Help the students to learn. So your job as a teacher is a lot more wider and bigger. Not just come and deliver the lecture and go. You have a lot of activities to do. Next. Yeah. So I have given here some innovative teaching methods. You can give projects to students. You can have a flipped classroom where you ask them to prepare at home and come for explanations in the classroom. You can you can create, or you can ask students to create quizzes, MCQs, crosswords, experimentation learning, innovative experiences. You can have activity based simulation, virtual labs. You can have a blend of any of these, and these are just some of the thoughts. You can have your own innovation and your own method, which is, as long as it is involved and it is effective, I am open to any method. Next. So here we are talking about the delivery process. Please go through this slide. This is the basic thing that you need to follow when you take up a topic. Number one, learning objectives, instruction, delivery, and self learning. You can distribute it. What are the activities, interactions, exercises, and practice? Evaluate against the objectives, and then use the feedback and again reset the objectives. You repeat this for each chapter, each point, or each course, whatever way, and you will be able to continuously improve your delivery process. Next. Yeah, I am giving some points which is, according to me, very important to remember. When you start a class, you start with an icebreaker so that all the learners are actually back into the classroom and paying attention to you. Next, introduction. I told at the beginning that I use a win method where W stands for what, I stands for interest. You generate a need and an interest in the subject, and the need has to be both personal and professional. So if you can generate this, interest can be through a story, and the need can be to justify the objective of this session. Why does a person need to study this? Your structure and delivery should be well planned. Break down the session into steps. Make it easy for the student to understand. At every stage, reinforce the points, stimulate, engage the students. And at the end of the session, you evaluate, you summarize, so that everybody remembers what has been discussed. Next, some tips for having an active classroom. Teacher must himself be very highly energetic. Don't go to a class if you are not feeling ready to take the session. If you are not well, if you are drowsy, skip the class, but don't go with a drowsy look. Be energetic, be smiling, and don't be predictable in the class. If you have a habit of going 5 minutes late every day, you will find that after the third day, the students are also entering the class 4.5 minutes late. And one day you go on time, you will find half the class is outside. So don't be predictable. Do things differently. Don't do different things, but do it in a little different way. Be innovative, be creative, involve the students in different activities, have them lead the sessions. You be a passive listener or a facilitator. Let them be active. The more active they are, the more engaged they would be, and the better the outcomes. Next. Yeah. So again, I am continuing some more tips. Be yourself. Don't try to copy the teaching or delivery process from anybody else. Be honest and be passionate. If you don't know something, openly accept and tell that I'll find out and I'll get back to you in the next class. There is absolutely nothing wrong in not knowing something, but don't lie. If you tell a lie, it becomes visible, and some students are smart enough to catch it. Be very passionate in your approach, be very confident, accept your limitations. You are not God, you are not going to be perfect in everything. Learn from students. If somebody is very tech savvy, ask them to operate the gadgets for you. There's nothing wrong in that. Acknowledge the achievement, celebrate that in front of the class. But if you have to reprimand somebody, do it in private. Keep yourself updated, have a lot of research, keep studying, keep learning. Prepare for each session like it is the first time, because each session is different if the audience is different. And expect the unexpected. Be prepared for unexpected questions, unexpected solutions, and face this in your stride with confidence. So that is what is very important. Next. Yeah, I think I have come to an end of all the points that I wanted to share with all of you. Uh, Now I'm open for any questions. If you have, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. The session is open for discussion now. You can unmute and interact with the dear participants. You can unmute and interact with the resource person, or you can post your questions in the chat box also. Thank you, sir, and thank you.
Yeah, please feel free to share your
Hello,
question.
sir.
Yeah.